Hello, everybody. Today we're talking about rationalizing the denominator. Welcome back, by the way. So here's some different things about rationalizing the denominator. First of all, we already have done 1 and 2. You know how to simplify it. And then what we're really going to focus on today is number 3. We don't want to have any radicals in the denominator. So you can use the properties of square roots to rationalize the denominator of a fraction with a radical. When you're doing this, what you're doing is you are getting rid of this radical in the bottom. So you're multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same thing. So how would I get rid of how would I get rid of the square root of 7? I would multiply it by the square root of 7. And by doing that, that gets rid of that radical in the denominator, which is what we're looking at. So you end up with square root of 7 over 7, because the square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is 7. I want you to try this one. So the answer here was square root of 5 over 5. Let's try this one. So we got square root of 10 over 5. And this one. And we get square root of 3 over 3. And this one. So we have the square root of z over z. Now, I want you to try this one. And the answer was D. The answer was D here. You have to remember that you still have to simplify, and as long as it's outside of the radical, you can reduce. Let's try this one. Answer was C. Now, we're going to talk about conjugates here. So when you have 2 plus square root of 7 and 2 minus square root of 7, those are considered conjugates, and they get that by the difference of squares. So when we had a squared minus b squared, remember it was a minus b times a plus b, because what happens is the outside and the inside cancel out, and you are just left with the a squared minus b squared. And that's what we want to do. We want to get it to where it is a difference of squares, so that the outside, which in this case would be negative 4 square root of 2, and the inside, which would be positive 4 square root of 2, would cancel out. And you would just be left with a squared, which is 16, and b squared, square root of 2 squared, is 2. So 16 minus 2 is 14, and we got rid of that radical. So here's an example of one. We have 4 minus the square root of 5. So we're going to multiply by the conjugate. So it's going to be, we're going to multiply by 4 plus square root of 5. And we still have to put that in the numerator also, because we want this to be equal to 1. When we do that, 2 times 4 gave me 8. 2 times square root of 5 gave me 2 square root of 5. The square of 4 is 16. And b squared, square root of 5 squared, gives me 5. Because remember, the outside and the inside would cancel out. So we are left with 16 minus 5 in the denominator, which is 11. Here's another example. We had 6 minus square root of 3. So we are doing the conjugate, which is 6 plus square root of 3. And again, we have to do it on the numerator also. 3 times 6 gave me 18. 3 times square root of 3 gave me 3 square root of 3. 6 squared is 36. Square root of 3 squared is 3. The difference of squares gives me 33. Now I want you to look down here in the red. You have 18, 3, and 33 outside of the radical. All of those can be reduced by 3. So 18 divided by 3 gave me 6. 3 divided by 3 gave me 1, which we don't have to put there. And 33 divided by 3 gave me 11. So this is the simplified version. Please remember that you cannot reduce within the radical unless it's another radical. So this part you have to be careful with. It can be tricky. I want you to try this one. So here we multiplied by the conjugate, 2 plus square root of 3. On top, 2 plus square root of 3 gave us 6 plus 3 square root of 3. 2 squared is 4. Square root of 3 squared is 3. 4 minus 3 gave me 1. So that's my final answer. Let's try this one. Here we ended up with 32 plus 4 square root of 7 over 57. 8 squared is 64. Square root of 7 squared is 7. So 64 minus 7 gave me 57. And you notice 32, 4, and 57, I can't do any reducing there. And let's try this one. Okay, the answer was A. And again, 12, 4, and 4, we can reduce all of those by 4, which is how we got the 3 plus square root of 5. And I hope that made sense. I hope everybody understands how to rationalize the denominator. Have a great day.